I pretended to be broke for 3 years. The day she filed for divorce, I finally revealed the truth. I can't live like this anymore. My wife, Melissa, screamed and slammed this manila envelope right onto our kitchen table. I'm filing for divorce. You're a complete failure, and I deserve so much better than this. I just stared at that envelope, then looked up at her, and right behind her, my mother-in-law, Patricia, standing there with her arms crossed, wearing this smug little smirk like she just won the damn lottery. Just sign the papers, David. Let's end this pathetic excuse of a marriage, Melissa said, and I swear her voice was dripping with pure disgust. I picked up the pen, but then I stopped. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Before I sign a single thing, you need to meet someone. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., here's the address." I slid this business card across the table. Melissa actually laughed out loud and flicked it away like it was trash. What is this, your unemployment counselor? David, you can't even afford to put gas in the car. Patricia snorted. Oh, honey, stop wasting your time. Just sign the damn thing and get out of her life already. I stood up real slow, grabbed my jacket, and headed for the door. But before I left, I turned around one last time. See you tomorrow, Melissa. Don't be late. And I walked out. What they had absolutely no idea about, tomorrow, their entire world was about to completely shatter. I'm Sarah, and you need to hear what happened to my best friend, David Mitchell. The guy's 36, and for the last 3 years, he's been living this crazy double life. So, to his wife, Melissa, and her absolutely toxic mother, Patricia, David was just this broke freelance consultant who sat around all day staring at a computer screen, barely bringing in any money. Meanwhile, Melissa worked as a high school teacher making $58,000 a year, and oh man, did she love reminding David about that every single chance she got. But here's the thing they had zero clue about. David wasn't broke. He wasn't even close to struggling. This man was the founder and CEO of TechFlow Solutions, this software company worth $6.8 million. Yeah, you heard that right. 6.8 million. He built the whole thing from nothing, way before he even met Melissa. But when they got married, David made this wild choice that changed absolutely everything. He hid his success, completely hid it. Why would he do that? Well, Melissa always talked about wanting this provider, a man with money, with status, with power. David wanted to find out if she could actually love him when he supposedly had nothing. For 3 whole years, he watched this woman he married turn into someone he didn't even recognize anymore. Someone cold, someone mean, someone cruel. And her mother, Patricia, was in her ear every single day whispering this poison. He's dragging you down, honey. You married such a loser. My daughter deserves a real man with real money. David wasn't testing her love anymore at this point. Nah, he was documenting every single betrayal. And yesterday, when Melissa threw those divorce papers right in his face, he finally had all the proof he needed. Tomorrow, she was going to learn the truth, and it was going to absolutely destroy her. If you've ever been underestimated, if someone ever judged you or made you feel completely worthless when they had no idea what you were really worth, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you actually trusted? All right, let's go. Picture this. 3 years ago, about 6 months into their marriage, David came home super excited one night. His company had just landed this massive contract, $400,000 in revenue. He wanted to celebrate. But Melissa was sitting in the living room with Patricia, and the vibe was ice freaking cold. "David, we need to talk," Melissa said with her arms crossed, and Patricia just cut right in. "My daughter deserves so much better than this. You're 6 months into this marriage and you still don't have a real job." David tried explaining, "I'm building something here. It takes time, but I'm making real progress with it." "Progress?" Melissa snapped back. "I'm the only one actually paying bills around here. My friends' husbands have real careers, nice cars, actual homes. What do you have? A laptop?" That night, David made his decision. He opened up this completely separate bank account and started funneling every penny from his business straight into it. Melissa would never know a thing. He'd give her exactly what she expected. a broke husband, and he'd sit back and watch to see if her love was actually real. Spoiler alert, it wasn't even close. So Melissa booked this week-long beach vacation with her girlfriends. She used their joint account, which was funny because it was money David had been quietly putting in there, and she didn't even think to invite him. "It's a girls' trip, David. You just wouldn't understand," she said, like I was stupid or something. But then David saw Patricia's Facebook post. Guess what? It wasn't a girls' trip. It was a full-on couples retreat, and Melissa was right there with Derek, her so-called old college friend who owned some car dealership. David didn't say a word. He just took screenshots, saved absolutely everything. Then, at this family dinner, Patricia stood up holding her wine glass and announced super loud, "I want to toast my daughter Melissa. She's an absolute saint for staying with a man who can't even afford to upgrade her engagement ring after 3 whole years of marriage." The entire table went dead silent, and Melissa, she just stared down at her plate. Didn't defend him, didn't say one single word. David excused himself, went to the bathroom, and transferred another $50,000 into his business account. Then one day, David got this collections notice in the mail. Turns out Melissa had opened up a credit card in his name without telling him, maxed the thing out at $18,000 and missed 3 payments. When he confronted her about it, she just shrugged. "You never buy me anything nice anyway, so I bought it myself. You figure out how to pay for it." David paid off the entire thing the very next day from his hidden account. And Melissa, she never once asked where that money came from, never wondered about it, never cared. Then Melissa started inviting Derek over for these group dinners at their house. This guy would roll up in his Porsche wearing these expensive suits, and Patricia would just gush over him. Now, this is what a successful man looks like. He owns 3 car dealerships. Melissa, honey, you really should have waited for someone like Derek. Derek would smirk at David. "No offense, man, but if I were you, I'd really step it up." David just smiled back. None taken. What Derek had no clue about was that David's company had just gotten valued at $6.8 million. He could have bought Derek's dealerships with straight cash and still had millions sitting in the bank. But David kept his mouth shut. He was building his case. So here's what Melissa and Patricia didn't know. David had been getting ready for this exact moment for over a year. He had this folder, both digital and physical, packed with everything. Bank statements showing his actual net worth, tax returns proving he made $1.2 million a year, screenshots of Melissa's text messages to Derek saying things like, "He's so pathetic, just a few more months and I'll file the papers, then we can finally be together," documentation of the credit card fraud, receipts for every single dime Melissa and Patricia had spent. And David had this secret weapon, too. Franklin Hayes, this 67-year-old retired attorney who'd been David's mentor and his very first investor in the company. Frank had been watching this whole marriage fall apart from the sidelines. "So, when do we drop the hammer on her?" Frank asked him last week. David smiled. "She's about to hand me the divorce papers herself. I'll let her do it. Then we absolutely bury her." So, the week before Melissa actually filed, Patricia brought a real estate agent to their house. David was working in his office and he could hear every word they said. "When she divorces him, she'll get half of this house," Patricia said real loud, obviously wanting David to hear. "It's worth at least $350,000, not bad for 3 years of putting up with his garbage." The agent nodded along. "We can list it the same day the divorce goes through." Melissa laughed. "Half of what, though? His computer? Honestly, I don't even care anymore. I just want out. Derek's already looking at condos for the 2 of us." David recorded that entire conversation on his phone. That same night, he called up Frank. "Send the letter to her attorney first thing tomorrow morning." Frank actually chuckled. "Oh man, this is going to be beautiful to watch." Next day, Melissa's divorce lawyer got this legal notice showing David's real financial situation and proof that 100% of his assets were separate property because he'd built everything before the marriage. Melissa came home that evening looking pale and shaking. "David, my lawyer wants to meet with you. He's saying there's something weird about your finances." David didn't even look up from his laptop. "Yeah, I'll be there. 10 a.m. tomorrow. Already sent you the address." The meeting was at Hayes & Associates law firm, this glass high-rise building downtown. Melissa showed up wearing her best dress, and you could hear her heels clicking on the marble floor, and she was so nervous. Patricia came with her too, of course, wearing her absolute smuggest look on her face. And Derek, he was waiting down in the parking lot. Melissa had texted him earlier. "This'll be quick, then we celebrate." They walked into the conference room. Frank was sitting at the head of this long table with a mountain of documents stacked in front of him. David sat right next to him, calm as anything. Melissa's lawyer, this young guy named Greg, looked super uncomfortable. Frank started talking. "Mrs. Mitchell, thanks for coming. Let's cut right to the chase here." He pushed a document across the table toward her. "This right here is the valuation report for TechFlow Solutions, a software company your husband founded 9 years ago. Current value, $6.8 million. Melissa's face went completely white. Patricia grabbed the paper, scanned through it real quick, then laughed, but it sounded nervous. "This is fake. This has to be some kind of scam." Frank didn't even blink. He slid another stack of papers forward. "Here are David's tax returns for the past 5 years. His average income per year, $1.2 million. Here's a letter from his CPA confirming everything. And here's a notarized statement from his bank showing he's got $2.3 million in liquid assets just sitting there." Melissa's hands started shaking so bad. "And here," Frank kept going, pulling out another folder, "are screenshots of text messages between you and Derek Lawson where you're discussing your affair and your whole plan to divorce David so you two can finally be together." Melissa gasped. "How did you even get—" "And this," Frank cut her off, "is full documentation of credit card fraud. You opened an account in David's name without his consent and racked up $18,000 in debt. That's a felony, Mrs. Mitchell." Patricia shot up out of her chair. "You can't actually prove any of this." Frank turned to her real slow. "Ma'am, unless you're actually a party to this divorce, I'm gonna suggest you wait outside." Patricia's mouth kept opening and closing like a fish out of water. She sat back down. Frank turned back to Melissa. "So here's exactly what's going to happen. You filed for divorce, you're getting your divorce, but you're walking away with absolutely nothing." Melissa's voice cracked. "David, please, we can fix this. I swear, I didn't mean any of it." David finally spoke up. "Fix what, exactly, Melissa? The 3 years you spent calling me a complete failure? All those nights you were texting Derek while I was sleeping in the next room? The credit card you opened in my name? Those trips you took with him while I was working 80-hour weeks, building something you didn't even know existed?" Tears were just streaming down her face. "You wanted a provider, right? Well, I was one. You just never bothered to actually look." Frank jumped back in. "The house? David bought it 2 full years before you even got married. That's separate property. The car? His. The savings? All his. You make $58,000 a year as a teacher. He supposedly earns nothing, according to you. So there's no alimony happening here." He leaned forward across the table. "You'll sign a settlement agreement today saying you get 0 assets or we file criminal fraud charges tomorrow morning. Your choice." Melissa was full-on sobbing now. "I'm so sorry. I love you. I swear I love you." David stood up. "No, you don't. You loved what you thought I could become. You never actually loved who I was." And he just walked out. Through the glass window, Derek saw Melissa crying and Frank's ice-cold expression. He got in his Porsche and drove away. He never called her again. Not once. The divorce got finalized 6 weeks later. Melissa tried absolutely everything. She sent letters, made phone calls. She actually showed up at David's office twice. Security had to escort her out both times. Patricia called once, screaming about how David had completely ruined her daughter's life. You know what David said? "Your daughter ruined her own life. I just stopped pretending to be broke." And he hung up on her. David sold that house where he'd been humiliated for 3 straight years and bought himself a penthouse downtown. He's still running TechFlow Solutions. Last quarter, the company hit $10 million in valuation. And he's dating again, someone who actually loves him for who he is, not what he's got in the bank. What about Melissa? Last David heard, she's still teaching, still completely single. And Eric? He married someone else about 6 months after the divorce went through. Some people spend their entire lives just chasing money and status. David learned the most valuable lesson there is. Real love doesn't need a price tag attached to it. If you've ever been underestimated, betrayed, or made to feel small by someone who was supposed to love you, drop a comment right now. How did you take back your power? Hit subscribe if you want more stories about people who refused to stay down. And click hype to make sure this reaches someone out there who really needs to hear it today. Thanks for watching. I'm Sarah, and I just shared David's story with you. If this moved you at all, hit that like button. To help other people find this, click hype. I read every single comment, so share your story down below. You're worth way more than anyone ever made you believe.